All of my grandparents, except for one of them, actually have been diagnosed with cancer.
My mother was diagnosed with breast cancer this past summer.
My aunt had pulmonary cancer. She contracted it about 2 years ago.
Sophomore year of high school, my mom was diagnosed with thyroid cancer.
My mom, who was diagnosed with lung cancer back during, I believe it was early December of last year.
All of them went through chemotherapy, which was really rough. It really affected my grandmother. She had bowel cancer. She used to be really athletic and swim like 50 laps of her pool every morning, but now she can't do anything.
She underwent a lumpectomy and is currently going through radiation treatment.
Underwent chemotherapy, and I think that was the only treatment that she did.
She had surgery to remove part of her thyroid gland and underwent radiation therapy. Unfortunately, it came back a year later, so she had to do it all over again. The second time it worked, and she's been in remission for like the past 5 years now. All she has is like this scar on her neck.
It happened really, really fast, and it was like a tumor in her upper left lung that basically was expanding at like 2 centimeters a day. And she hadn't smoked a cigarette since she was 30, and she was 54 when this all came up. It was so crazy, like the circumstances, that the doctors were apparently like crying in the room in the hospital because they'd never seen anything like it before.
Grandfather on my father's side had melanoma, and he also had cancer close to his eye, so we ended up getting one of his eyes removed. He was always really good-natured with that kind of stuff, so we just made a lot of pirate jokes to my little brother, which helped us get through it a lot.
I think maybe the timing was just a little unusual for us. We were already going through a big move, so the cancer was kind of something that took everyone a little off guard.
It just went down really fast. We got notified of, she found out that she had cancer in February, and then it just progressed so rapidly she passed away in June.
It made me realize how important cancer research is because thyroid cancer luckily has about like a 99% survival rate thanks to radiation therapy being so effective for this kind of cancer. It makes me like hopeful that in the future all cancers will be cured by some sort of therapy or treatment.
I literally remember talking on the phone with her, like, a week or two before she was diagnosed with it, and she sounded totally fine. She was admitted to the hospital, and they thought it might be like an infection or something, like they weren't really sure. And then I talked to her again, like, a week after that, and her voice was really hoarse. But even at that point, didn't know anything. And then when she was diagnosed, it took, all of 7 days for it to become too much. And she passed away on December 5th of last year.
My mom's father had a cancerous brain tumor and cancer in his lungs, and he died when I was in the 7th grade. And my other 2 grandparents that have cancer, both of my dad's parents, are still alive, but they're not doing well.
I think it was definitely a little tough because my mom's always been a rock in my life and has always been there to support me. So when I heard initially, I was just scared, and then it was kind of empowering to be able to step up and support her for a change. And even though she's such a positive person, it was definitely, it humanizes them. And I think often we think our parents are kind of above everyone else, but when you have something like this, it really makes you realize that they go through exactly the same emotions and fear.
Growing up, she was like a second mother to me. She was, growing up, my cousin Julie and I, we were born one day apart. We went to the same schools, had the same classes, hung out after school every day. And my Auntie Linda was always there for me no matter what I needed. So when we heard that she had cancer, it was a huge blow to the family. We were really hoping she'd make it through, and she fought like hell, but in the end it was just too much. And ever since, there's been a hole in our family that we can't fill, and there's not a day that goes by that we don't miss her.
Lost family from it, and it's hard going through it on your own and seeing people that you love be sick and die, but it's also really difficult seeing your parents go through dealing with cancer. Like, it's really hard to see the people that you thought were the strongest be super, super vulnerable in really bad places.
It kind of made the whole cancer thing really hit closer to home, because I had like grandparents, you know, great aunts, great uncles, family friends who had all been affected by cancer. And I always, like, obviously was affected by it, and it was always a very sad thing, especially when someone was lost to it. But it was usually something in my life that I kind of saw as reserved for older people, like people who were, you know, had already lived like a pretty full life anyways. Whereas my mom, like, you know, she just started a new job, she was going into a master's, she's like in her early 50s. All these things are characteristic of someone who, you know, you would not expect to get terminal cancer.
It makes me really happy to see everyone in the Greek community coming together for a good cause and making such an impact.
I don't want anybody else to go through what we had to go through or what she had to go through. It was incredibly painful for her, especially at the end, and it was agonizing to watch, and I don't want any family to have to do that. So to have a group on campus that's dedicating themselves to aiding the cure just means a lot to me.
Yeah, it's super relieving to see people across college campuses all over Canada and the United States work towards one united goal and working really hard towards it. And I think we can be the generation that end cancer.
Events like Derby Days are really important because without them, the amount of money that's being funded into cancer research would be nowhere near as large as it is. And it's the research that is really allowing for people like my mom to undergo the treatment at such a rapid pace and really give them a better chance at survival.
It makes it even more important to, you know, raise money and for research in particular. Because for me, it was something that with all the treatments they had available, like radiation, chemo, you know, all these different things, they tried all of this on her, and it just didn't work. I've been to the hospital and the institute, and I've seen their labs. I've seen the work we do, and I truly believe that in terms of cancer research, it's the best place to put our funds. And obviously, there's a lot of people here affected by cancer, so hopefully we can channel that energy to actually raising money and making a difference.